Right, I have been asked by somebody, there's their name who asked it, and could I explain in any detail the CPC test modules 2 and 4. So I'll start off explaining module 2 because there's not much I can really show you. But basically this CPC stuff, if you drive professionally for a living, either a lorry or a bus, you have needed a CPC since September 2009 for lorries, or 2008 if you're a bus driver. If you've passed before your practical driving test before that date, then you've automatically got the test done, sort of thing. You've done module 4 technically, and you only have to do the refresher training of 35 hours every 5 years, which works out at one session of 7 hours every year. So 1 day a year every year, and you'll basically fill your quota. To get your renewal by 2013 for buses and 2014 for lorries. If you've passed your test after September 2009 or 8, depending on what you're doing, then you have to do the module 4 practical test, apart from a few exemptions which I'll explain in a minute. This first bit will be the questions, and to make this video a bit shorter, basically module 1 is the theory test questions and the hazard perception. If you can find enough or any learning material that works for you, and then you can pass the module 1A section, the theory test questions, fairly easily, then you should manage the CPC test questions fairly easy, because there's only 50 in their test, and the questions are roughly the same, they're just laid out slightly differently. Like, you'll have a ridiculous answer, a sort of stupid answer, and then 2 plausible ones, and it's roughly the same, but I'll go through them in a minute. For the test itself, you get 90 minutes, 15 of that is practice, which you can skip if you want and just go straight for it. But I done that because I just fancied wasting time, really, because it's not really that difficult. I'd done the whole thing in probably half an hour, even though you get 75 minutes to answer the 50 questions. According to the book, you get 6 to 8 case studies with 5 to 10 questions each, which isn't strictly true, because I actually counted the questions during my test, and on one I got 11 questions, on another I got about 3. But there will always be 50 in total, or at least there is at the minute, unless, of course, like the theory test, they increase the questions, which they have done over the past few years, because it used to be 50, I think. Then they upped it to 75, and now it's 100. There can be various question types. In terms of learning material, there isn't much out there really. This is all I could find. They do this in 2 versions. This is the lorry drivers one. You've got a bus drivers one as well. Most of it is irrelevant, really. There's only a few little bits of interest, such as people who are exempt from it, such as vehicles with maximum authorised speed not exceeding 27 miles an hour, vehicles used by or under the control of the armed forces, civil defence, Fire service and forces responsible for maintaining public order, so police riot vehicles or something. Vehicles undergoing road tests for technical development, repair or maintenance purposes, or new or rebuilt vehicles that have not yet been put into service. Vehicles used in states of emergency, assigned to rescue missions, etc. Vehicles used for driving lessons, blah blah blah. Vehicles used for non-commercial carriage of goods, only privately owned vehicles such as a horse box or something, that would be, unless you drive the horse box for a stud or another owner or something like that, I suppose, and they're paying you for it basically. And vehicles carrying material or equipment to be used by the driver in the course of his or her work, provided that the driving vehicle is not their principal activity. So like a plumber, for example, they drive a vehicle to someone's house, but their main job is actually fixing pipe work. This is basically some of the screens you'll see. So yeah, that's the opening title sequence there. Basically what it says: cases 5 to 10 questions. Case study will appear on the left, questions will be on the right. There's a sample screen. Something about the buttons and that along the bottom here. This all appears in the test. This is the 15-minute test bit that you'd get at the beginning. And here's some of the question answers you'd get. So there's your case study. So you have a short bit, you just pick the various bits. I'll show you an example one. This is the only real thing this book's good for. It gives you practice one. So you get the multiple choice, you get a question, it says pick the best one, you pick one. Or you get multiple response one, it says which two, so you pick two. And those two are the main ones you'll get. You may get one or two others. You get an audio one, which I think I may have had one on, I'm not really sure now, I can't really remember. But you have a little button, you put the headphones on, push the play button, you listen to it, you pick the right answer. Hotspot, I don't know if I had one of them, I may have had one or two. So you get asked a question, you click on the picture and a little red X will appear where you think the right things. That's the various different types. Those two are rarer, but they can appear. Those first two, single choice, multiple choice, are the main ones. Usually between case studies you'll get a screen saying comes up saying right, this is the next case study, so you can't miss that the case study has changed. So we go to the 5 practice questions. So again you get, that's basically something like that will appear at the beginning of each case study, so you know it's changed. So the case will appear on each screen. The case will have 5 to 10 questions. Read the case, it will help you answer the questions. To begin this case study, click next. And something like this will appear on your screen. So case study on the left will always have writing and a picture. Then the questions will change, but that will stay the same until the whole screen changes back to something like that, basically. So reading this case study: John is the driver of flatbed LGV and is nearing the end of a 9-hour driving day. He has taken appropriate breaks. As he negotiates a right-hand bend, he notices in his mirror that a roll of steel has fallen from his vehicle, resulting in a pedestrian being injured. It has been noted that the fuel consumption of John's vehicle is significantly higher than similar vehicles in the fleet. So that last bit sort of veers off on a tangent, but you get some random blocks of sentencing like that sometimes. So the question here: which of the following options that are likely to have caused the partial load loss? Select 2 of the options below. Insecure load usually is the case. Other road user, well, it didn't say anything about here being traffic. Poor observation, possibly. Excessive speed, well, this is the DSA. All and any type of speed is bad, so that's probably likely to be that one. Weather conditions, well, it hasn't mentioned anything about the weather, so possibly not. And if we flick through to the answers, wherever they are. Question 1, A and D, insecure load, excessive speed. So then we go next, the case study, all is exactly the same, so there's no point reading that again. Only the question on the right's changed. The diagram below shows the original position of the vehicle before the load fell off. Which direction will the load have travelled? To answer the question, use the mouse to click directly on the image below. The red X will mark the place where you choose to change your answer. Click a new place. So we've got right hand bend. We've got 2 arrows pointing into the bend, so unless you know nothing about the laws of physics, ignore them, because it can only go to the left. See if I've got an arrow pointing off the back or pointing off the side. Well, it could be either, depending on where the spring or coil of steel was loaded. I think I picked originally the one in the front left, but according to the answers it's the rear left corner. It's rolled off the back as he's gone round the corner, which maybe if it was a straight road you'd more likely pick that one. I'd have said it was that one really, but that's one of those questions where it could be either. Who has the legal responsibility for ensuring that the load is secure? You should really know this one. It is the driver's responsibility. So we've got John, John's employer, John and his employer, neither John. So if you don't remember, it's the very first word. John is the driver of a flatbed, blah blah blah. So John is the answer, and John is the answer, yes. Having stopped at the scene of the incident, what is the first action that John should take? Call the police, call his employer, make the area safe, give first aid to the injured pedestrian. Well, it could be either of them, but to avoid adding further injury to yourself, you'd make the area safe before doing any of the others. And answer is C, make the area safe. Based on the information in the scenario, what may have affected John's level of concentration immediately prior to the incident? Select the best option below. Tiredness, intake of alcohol, well, it didn't say anything about that. Traffic congestion, hasn't mentioned anything about that. Weather conditions, hasn't mentioned anything about that. Is nearing the end of a 9-hour day. Hi.
You in for next door, yeah?
There, I'm taking it back though.
Oh right, okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Based on the information in blah blah blah, weather conditions. So the only one that's relevant into this piece, nearing the end of a 9-hour driving day, so tiredness would be what it is. And if I can find the answers again. It should say A, tiredness, there we go. So that's roughly what the old theory test will involve. Fairly easy. After you've passed that, which is something 40 or 45 possibly. I'll have to look up how many answers out of 50 you need to get. It's not that difficult to fail really. If you can pass the theory test of module 1, then you should manage easy enough.